The Newark Riots began in 1967 when John DeSimone and Vito Pontrelli arrested an African-American cab driver after he improperly passed them on 15th Avenue. John Ward Smith, the cab driver, was incapacitated and dragged to the police precinct. A rumor began that he had been killed by the police, when in reality he was transferred to a hospital. The African-American population in Newark was outraged and began attacking policemen. As a result, some African-Americans were killed by gunshot wounds.
There was much tension building up to the riots, particularly concerning police brutality, but also due to police discrimination, redlining, and the general oppression of African Americans. The National Guard was called in to quell the violence, during which 26 people died, 725 were injured, and 1,500 were arrested. The property damage exceeded $10 million, and the riots perpetuated racial tensions in Newark.
The NAACP, also known as the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, was founded in 1909. The purpose was to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights in all persons and to eliminate racial hatred and racial discrimination. It was formed in response to the 1908 Springfield race riots and lynching. White liberals formed a group along with other black activists such as W.E.B. Du Bois.
Du Bois established The Crisis, the NAACP's official journal, in 1910. The magazine became the premier crusading voice for the civil rights movement. The journal even became a voice for the Harlem Renaissance, being utilized by Langston Hughes. The NAACP branched out from New York City to many other cities by 1913, including Boston, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Detroit, and St. Louis.
The NAACP made strides in legal matters, including the victory in the Ginn v. United States case of 1910 that overturned the Oklahoma law that regulated voting via the grandfather clause. The NAACP commissioned the Margold Report that became the basis for the successful reversal of the Plessy v. Ferguson case of 1896 and the 1954 case of Brown v. the Board of Education. Eleanor Roosevelt was also an NAACP National Board member.
The NAACP played a vital role in the passage of the Civil Rights Acts of 1957, 1964, 1968, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The NAACP also provided legal representation and aid to many civil rights groups, such as the posting of bail for many freedom riders in the 1960s. The NAACP was also particularly involved in the ending of lynching in the United States, and its members also included Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks.
The Freedom Summer began in 1964. It was also known as the Mississippi Summer Project. It was a voter registration drive aimed at increasing voter registration in Mississippi. Black Mississippians and more than 1,000 out-of-state white voters came to support the cause, but were oppressed by the white Mississippians, including the KKK, state police, and even the state and local authorities. However, in the end, the movement only registered 1,200 African Americans. The civil rights movement lost much momentum after the relative failure of the Freedom Summer.
The Freedom Summer was started by the Congress on Racial Equality and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which were civil rights groups. The project was run by the Council of Federated Organizations and the Association of Civil Rights Groups. Mississippi was chosen as the site of the Freedom Summer Project due to its historically low levels of African American voter registration. In 1962, less than 7% of the state's eligible black voters were registered to vote.
The second day of the movement, 2 white students disappeared and their badly beaten bodies were discovered 6 weeks later. The discovery of the bodies took a long time because the police dragged out the investigation. This procrastination by the police angered people of color because white crimes were being catered to and their problems were being ignored. This created much tension between the workers of both races, and the project ended up establishing 50 freedom schools to carry on community organizing, but was largely unsuccessful.